So when we talk about this sustainability reporting, we really think about we had a few components to what we think about when we think about performance. Traditionally, we've always thought of performance reporting with respect to financial statements as the traditional financial statements, the income statement, the balance sheet, the statement of cash flows, and the statement of retained earnings. But now, increasingly, we see that organizations and investors are interested in connections between the results, that is the financial results and the profit, and the people or the social context in which the organization has influenced, and the environmental or planet context which the organization has influenced. And so we get to this triple P or triple P bottom line of people, profit, and planet. And so that then gets us to this idea of, so how do we define sustainability? What is it with respect to what we're talking about here? And so sustainability really focuses on the ability to sustain an action in the future on an ongoing basis. So it's not just a one-time shot. So we're looking at repeatable, deliverable results, period after period after period, not just so a huge impact on profit the first period because there was some extraordinary event that occurred, but we'll never see that profit level again, or a huge impact on the environment, but we won't ever see that again because we sold a plant. When we talk about sustainability, it's really the ability to make a decision that results in a long-term action that is sustainable. And so again, what we find that when we talk about sustainability is that it's we shift our focus. We have a longer-term focus, and so we shift our focus from how can we increase profits this year to, is our organization making decisions that are economically sustainable? So can we increase our profits consistently in the future, not just for this year? Are they socially sustainable? That is, how do they affect the people who make our product, who provide our service, or who buy our product or service? And are they decisions that are environmentally sustainable? Do we recognize our dwindling resources, and are we addressing that consistently as we make our decisions? The AICPA has also defined this phrase of economics of sustainability initiatives, which refer to, according to the AICPA, to a company's understanding of and its ability to discuss the inextricable connection between the company's business model, strategic objectives, risk factors, material issues, current performance, and future targets into the broader environmental, economic, and social context, that is the planet, profit, and people context in which the company operates. This point is about a company's ability to write a rich contextual narrative about its ability to create value over time. And so when we talk about sustainability accounting, we're talking about the ability to collect, store, organize, and report in ways that inform our economic, social, and environmental information for making decision purposes and evaluating performance purposes. Our accounting system must be able to collect and report that additional information needed to account for sustainability. And this is a different model from what we're used to. We're not used to having to report on these other softer issues like social impact or environmental impact. And a lot of that data, it's not collected in the system, or if it is collected in the system, it's not connected to any kind of performance metrics that we can use to link the two together. And so from a design standpoint, it's very important to know, well, as an organization, is this a direction we're headed in? Is it a part of our annual reporting that we're going to increase our focus on? What are the points of origin of this information? What are the nexus between this information and other information already being gathered? What might that output look like? So you can see it's a very complicated issue within the accounting information systems design perspective. And so, but again, it's an evolving area also. There are not many companies that have executed sustainability reporting or integrated reporting activities as of yet. And so what we'll talk about now are the keys to sustainability accounting. So how does sustainability impact people? How does sustainability accounting affect your organization's processes? And how does sustainability accounting impact your organization's technology? Because we can see from this diagram, again, we talk about the people, processes, and technologies, and we see that they all intersect within these circles to get to a nexus of sustainability accounting. And so we get to both quantitative and qualitative factors affecting our sustainability accounting. And we talk about qualitative, much of the information related to sustainability is qualitative, and so it's challenging or impossible to quantify, yet crucial to sound decisions. Right? And so the challenge for us as designers of the accounting system is to take this qualitative, non-financial information and to organize, sort, and store it for retrieval purposes, for reporting purposes, along with the quantitative or the financial side of the data we're collecting. And so when designing the database, these concerns require special design considerations to allow for the storage, retrieval, and analysis. So again, part of the problem is identifying what is this qualitative data, how do we capture it, and then how do we connect it to or relate it to the quantitative data that's being collected, so that at the end of the reporting period, we're able to see the relationships between the two to substantiate that as an organization we are executing sustainable decisions with respect to profit, people, and planet. And so qualitative data must be stored in the data in such a way that it can be later retrieved. And there are 3 ways that we could store qualitative data so that it can be retrieved for decision-making purposes. One is a numerical ranking, like a Likert scale. So of 1 to 5, that we've identified a factor or a criteria, and we're identifying on a scale, such as the Likert scale, some numerical ranking of either performance to that factor or merit, or some quantitative way of determining based on pre-existing criteria. We don't just define it as we go, but some pre-existing criteria of how we're adhering to that criteria. We may indicate some estimated dollar amount associated with this qualitative criteria, so such as estimating environmental and health effects of a proposed actions, assigning a dollar amount to that, so that again it provides us with a way of quantifying and comparing to economic results our performance with respect to that qualitative measure. Or we may predefine labels such as low hazard, medium hazard, high hazard labels. But again, ways of being able to identify the qualitative data in a way that we're able to connect it to quantitative results so that we can report on an integrated basis. And so again here, we're just saying again that sustainability as a new approach to decision making may shift our focus and decisions from minimizing risks to creating values. And again, we see examples of, so how does our firm minimize the risk of lawsuits from defective products, or toxic pollution, or groundwater contamination? So those were old paradigm questions to how do we create value for our customers, society, and the global community. And so you can see it's a different perspective, sort of a different worldview on how we approach how we manage and decide on this direction that our organization is going. It's a different approach and paradigm to that question than what we've traditionally had. And if we're going to run our organization in that way, we've got to come up with a way of capturing the results of that in a way that we're able to report on them, which are different reports than what we're used to seeing. And so these are just some examples of value creation approaches that have taken place that take into account the people and planet side of the decision, like redesign the product to reduce social and environmental impacts. And Nike's redesign of their Air shoe is a good example of this. So redesign the process so that we minimize adverse social and economic impacts. And FedEx using hybrid-powered delivery trucks is a good example of redesigning the process. Adopting this cradle-to-grave or zero waste model to strive for zero waste as opposed to reduced waste. And Ford Motor Company is given to us as an example of that. And then finally, if we use life cycle assessment to better understand the total impact of an organization's activities and processes, then we're presumably better able to make sustainable decisions throughout that life cycle. And we're given Sony's example of that, approach to value creation. And so integrating sustainability into decision making involves innovation, looking at issues as opportunities, and envisioning new sustainable solutions. And it's important to note when we talk about each of these items is that, for a lot of organizations, this is a different way of creating value, because for a lot of organizations, in fairness and due to the focus on profitability and stock value and market value, these factors haven't played as predominant a role in the decision making as sustainability creation suggests. So now we're getting around to where the market and investors are looking at these decisions. They are asking, are they sustainable? Are they creating value in the long run? And they're valuing the stock and valuing the organization closer on that basis, to where there does become more incentive on management's part to look at these types of issues in the people, planet, and profit perspective, rather than just perhaps more strongly the profit perspective. And so we do need to understand that there are some frameworks out there for how we approach this sustainability intelligence and sustainability reporting, because we don't want every organization out there just reporting it however they want to report it, making up the rules as they go along, not being consistently applied, because that then undermines the reporting guidelines that are executed by generally accepted accounting principles. It just doesn't help the user of those financial statements if they're looking at comparability between organizations, if each organization is making up their own rules as they go along. And these organizations just provide the examples of some of the frameworks out there that can be used for sustainability reporting purposes. And an example of one of these is the GRI, or the Global Reporting Initiative, and it's the most widely used sustainability framework for performance evaluation. And they have a set of predefined criteria. They have a company will go out and grade itself based on the criteria that are associated with these predefined criteria, and they will grade themselves, and then these grades and the results of this self-assessment will be reported on in their annual financial results, along with the economic side of operations. And so then we talk about this idea of integrated reporting. So an integrated report consists of one report containing both financial and non-financial information about a company's economic, social, and environmental performance. And again, this is growing in popularity. The AICPA is recognizing the importance of this and is gradually coming out with guidance to help practitioners in determining the development of integrated reporting, the audit of integrated reports, and other metrics associated with getting some sort of uniformity and consistency across organizations as they execute this. And the guiding principles of integrated reporting are that there should be some strategic focus in the report. It should be long-term versus short-term. There should be some connectivity of the information, and that is to say that we can't be reporting on profit in the short term and then reporting separately on the impact of the organization's decisions on the people and the planet. We should be able to connect all three of those elements in an integrated report. It should be future-oriented, because that's what sustainability is about. It should be responsiveness. It should be based on responsiveness and stakeholder inclusiveness to be reporting on what the stakeholders of the organization think are important or have illustrated they believe are important with respect to sustainability. And obviously it should be concise, reliable, and material. And so we see that there are benefits of integrated reporting, and they include increased efficiency and improved communication. And the increased efficiency, because as we look at value creation, and that's part of sustainability, we look at value creation over the long term as it impacts people, profit, and planet, right? The general consensus is that in the end, all of that done together correctly, in harmony, should increase an organization's efficiency. And as a result of the desire to communicate or to illustrate to stakeholders the results of those activities, we would have improved communication.